If your child with ADHD avoids starting simple tasks, homework, getting dressed, cleaning their room, and before you even ask, you can already feel the meltdown coming, then this video is for you. That moment where you're just left there thinking, you've done harder things than this, why can't you just at least start? As parents, we are tired, we're bracing for the pushback, and you already know how this is about to go. Well, I can tell you that this probably isn't laziness. And once we understand what's actually happening, then that can help us change how we respond. Hi, I'm Cindy. I'm a PhD behavior analyst. I've spent over a decade working with children and families, and I'm also mom of 2 kids with ADHD. In this video, I'm going to explain how motivation actually works for kids with ADHD, and I'm going to give you a few practical ways to make starting a little bit easier. Motivation is actually defined as a desire or willingness to do something. So when a child doesn't follow through, we tend to assume one or two things. They either don't want it bad enough, or they're just choosing not to try. But wanting something and actually being able to do that thing are not the same thing. For example, this weekend, I wanted to mow the lawn. I like how it looks. I certainly didn't want any issues with my HOA, but I was tired, it was cold. And even though I wanted to do it, I just didn't have access to the effort in that moment. And I think we can all relate to similar situation. Wanting and accessing effort are very different. When I talk about effort, I don't just mean the physical energy required to perform a task, and I don't just mean trying harder. Effort is also initiating action, inhibiting any other competing responses, and sustaining attention on the right task. That's a lot happening in just a few seconds. In ADHD, the systems that allocate effort don't always come online consistently or at the same time. What we notice is that access to effort actually fluctuates. And when access fluctuates, starting becomes especially difficult. It takes more energy to get a car moving from a complete stop than it does to keep it moving once it's already in motion. You know, the whole an object in motion stays in motion kind of thing. Starting is often the hardest part. So when your child gets stuck at the starting line, it's not refusal, it's a capacity issue. And usually when starting is hard, the advice that we receive is to break the task down into smaller steps. And that is a great strategy, and we'll definitely get to that. But even before we break things down, there's something that's even more foundational. And that is if your child or you aren't actually ready to start, no starting point will feel manageable. You're not likely to begin something you don't want to do if you're already overwhelmed. So sometimes the first step isn't just breaking down the task, it's preparing the brain. Let me give you an example. In my house, we are not big fans of homework. I could go on a whole rant about how much I dislike homework, and of course, so do my kids. So starting homework takes a lot of effort for them, and it honestly takes a lot of effort for me too. If I just walk in and say, okay, everybody get your homeworks, we're about to get started, everyone tightens up, myself included. So instead, we build in a warm-up. With my daughter, before homework, we tend to do a few riddles. She loves riddles, and they activate her thinking brain without additional pressure. It feels like a challenge that she can actually solve. Then she can earn more riddles as she completes pieces of her work. For my son, we start with something that he already enjoys and that helps him settle. For example, he loves building with magnetiles or coloring with markers. So sometimes we'll color together for a few minutes before we start, or we'll play a really quick board game, something that gets him strategizing. I find that these tasks help my kids' brains kind of start moving. And once there's motion, it's easier to transition into a harder task. And the bonus is those activities become something to work toward as we complete more of our homework. So instead of scrambling to find a reward in the middle of a meltdown, it's already built into the system. The goal isn't distraction, it's activation without pressure. And I understand these tasks might be a little bit niche to my kids, but the goal here is to find something that helps your kids get started. These don't have to be academic, they just need to engage the brain in a stabilizing way. Once the brain is more available, then we can focus on breaking down the task into smaller steps. And the starting point truly matters here. If we can't even get started, then the rest of the steps don't really matter anymore. So here are 3 ways to encourage forward movement with that first step. The first step is to reduce friction. And by friction here, I mean anything that makes that first step heavier or harder than it needs to be. And I don't mean there's some dramatic obstacle in the way. For many kids with ADHD, their brain already feels like it's working against them. So small things like having to find a pencil, a sharpener, deciding where to sit can be just enough resistance to shut the whole thing down. So to overcome this, we can help the environment work with our kids instead of against our kids. Materials are already out, pencils are available. We're not stopping to look for glue or scissors after they finally sit down, because when we interrupt the flow of what we're doing, we often have to start all over again. And I'm sure you've seen this. If I interrupt my kids in the middle of getting started, they'll get distracted 300 different ways before they actually make their way back to the original task. The second way is to make the starting point so small that it's almost impossible to fail. I am a big fan of very small steps and sticky points. Open your backpack, grab your notebook, write your name. We're not finishing the task yet. We're not even doing something that seems truly meaningful. We're just building a little bit of momentum. And third, we're going to make the steps visible. Open-ended tasks are sometimes really hard for kids because they don't know where the ending point actually is. So even a small task can feel ginormous. So I'll write the steps down on a whiteboard or draw pictures for my son who's still building his reading skills, so it doesn't feel like one big giant demand. Now they can see what comes next, and most importantly, they know when it's going to be done. It's visible, it's predictable, and it's startable. And I really want to say something important. These strategies can sound effortful, and that's because they are. I try my best to make behavior strategies feel doable and accessible to parents, but for a tired parent, having to build systems around simple tasks can still feel like a lot. I've learned there's nothing to be gained by pretending that any of this is easy for parents. Yes, it's going to require a lot more planning. Yes, it can take more effort than what some of your parent friends might need to put in with their kids. You might hear comments like you're spoiling your kids or my kids would never make me do that. And those comments can feel incredibly frustrating because you may be doing this amount of work and putting in all of this effort for a while, because some kids really do need support for a while. You're not crazy for finding everyday things difficult. Needing systems doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that your child needs design and not pressure, and you're doing an excellent job providing that environmental design that helps them thrive. I see that, and I can absolutely relate to that. When we misinterpret effort variability as laziness, we respond with pressure instead of design. But effort isn't a character trait. It's a capacity that fluctuates. We regulate first, we reduce friction, and then we make the task startable. We don't assume character. If this helped you understand your child just a little bit differently or gave you something practical to try tonight, subscribe and let us know in the comment. And if you want more tools like this, practical, evidence-based, and designed for real ADHD families, this is what I focus on here, and I will see you in the next video.